Welcome, welcome. I see you guys are hopping in here live. I was just doing some tech stuff. Let me close this. All right, we're having some construction here today. So I got a little bit displaced. They're working on this, the screen lanai. We had some storm damage from when the hurricane came through, so they're just now getting around to fixing it. So hello, hello, welcome everybody. So I'm excited about today's session. If you're on here live, comment in the chat box. Let me know you're here live. If you're joining from the Facebook group, I'll try to pay attention to the comments if I can. I can get easily distracted, but yeah, there it is. It's on there live. All right, cool. Well, comment in the chat box. Let me know where you guys are coming in from or messaging in from. I'm excited because whew, this is a doozy, right? One of the things that I see, like I just did in January, we did an event with my mastermind members, and basically what we do, we come in and everybody's talking about like what are their bottlenecks, what are the big challenges, what are the things that are keeping you guys from really reaching that next level and being able to scale your business. And what I found interesting was that one of the biggest problems, one of the biggest challenges that like when we looked at the board, right? We had a little whiteboard and everyone was like, all right, it's this, it's this, it's this. And we started looking at the challenges, like the biggest issue by far with everyone there was team productivity, the people on the team, the structure of the team. So I wanted to do a session today, kind of talking about, all right, what are some of the things we should be paying attention to? What are some of the things that we should be become more aware of to build the winning team, to make sure we're getting the most productivity out of our team, so this way we can ultimately scale the business. Okay, because I can promise you, what ends up happening again and again and again and again, and I see it often, is that if you don't have that in place, then it's you're as the owner trying to run forward, trying to hustle, hustle, hustle to get the business moving forward. And then it feels like you've got anchors that are dragging behind you, right? And then you start questioning everything. Now, in truth, ultimately, it becomes our responsibility as the owners to be able to manage and manage it properly. So, I'm going to talk today about some of the key things that I've shared at the event with my mastermind members. Hopefully, you can take some of these pieces and start implementing them into your business. But if you guys are ready to rock and roll, just comment in the chat box, whether on the Facebook group or here inside the webinar. Just comment, let me know that you guys are ready to rock and roll. I don't know if I can see your messages, maybe because it's I don't know, the technology with it being a webinar, maybe I cannot see, but just comment in the chat box so I know you're here. I'm going to try to pay attention to the Facebook group as well. Oh, there's Tina. Hey, what's up, Tina? All right, we got a comment from Tina. There we go. Except someone posted it in the Q&A section. Nancy. All right, Nancy's ready to rumble. Awesome. All right, very good. So let's talk about like just some of the key pieces. Oops. Let's talk about some of the key pieces because the reality is that there's a lot that goes this. There's a lot to unpack. It's not just a one piece, a one thing fixed. There's lots of little components that go into good management of your team, right? Whether it's local, remote, etc. Oh, chat's disabled. All right, that stinks. I didn't know chat was disabled. I'm going to see if I can enable it because I really prefer that you guys can comment. It makes it more fun for me. But all right, you guys can use the Q&A section and maybe comment over there. All right, so let's start unpacking. Okay. Years ago, I had hired a company to come in, and it's a pretty significant investment. It was a $15,000 investment. They made a few visits to my office to help me implement a management operating system. Now, I'm not going to sit here and talk about the operating system in its entirety, but it was a big piece to the puzzle on all the things as a company that we should be looking at to really be able to position ourselves to scale. You know, you hear the cliche, I need more time to work on the business, and you do, right? If you really want to either have more work life balance or you're looking to scale the business, you really do need that time to be able to work on the business. And one of the biggest components that truly keeps you from being able to do that, it's just not having the structure, not having the right team, not having the operating system, the management operating system in place. And when you have these components, it can help you greatly. So even if we're not going to have and be able to discuss the whole system and everything today, but what we can discuss is some of the tools that I share and that I use with my clients, my mastermind clients, my coaching clients, because this piece, you get this piece right, and it makes your life so much easier, right? It's this piece that really enabled me and helped me to take 9 months off from the business. So let's let's get into it. All right. Number one of the things we want to make sure that we're doing is that we're looking at our team and we're evaluating to make sure they're in what I call your highest and best use. Right. There's a term used in real estate. I don't know if any of you guys have ever been in real estate or heard this term. It's called highest and best use. It's like if I have this plot of land, how is it zoned and what's the highest and best use of this actual plot of land? Right. I can put a house on it. That's great, but I can also put a duplex on it. That might even be better. I can put a condo on it. I can put a commercial building on it. You're like, all right, what does that have to do with this? So when we look at our team members, one of the things we need to figure out ultimately is what's the highest and best use of that individual, right? Now, there's lots of little pieces that go into determining their highest and best use, but this first starts at the top. You as the owner, what is your highest and best use, right? Is it fixing the printer? Is it doing payroll? Is it doing the cleaning in the office? I just got off a call with one of my clients yesterday. I was like, I'm just trying to retrain your brain to think a little bit differently, right? He's got a commercial building and he was doing some of the like the I call it admin stuff. Not I don't know if it's admin stuff, but just some of the stuff to make property manage the building. And I was like, okay, how much could you hire someone to do that? Right? Because I know the other thing that you're doing, you're working on scaling your home care business, you're working on getting more referrals, you're working on all these things, but how much does it cost you to outsource this piece? He's like, I don't know, a few $100 a month. I'm like, okay, so let's talk hypothetical, right? Hypothetical, this would have freed him up an extra 20 hours a month, right? For some of you, that might seem like a lot, but it's a lot, right? 20 hours a week. In 20 hours a week, what activities, what could you be doing to grow and scale your business to generate more business and grow your company, right? Could you hypothetically, in 20 hours a month, generate one extra client? I was like, yeah, well, I'm pretty confident I could. I said, yeah, I know you could. Probably can generate more than that. Or one good referral source that sends you one new case a month. Could you use that time and is property managing your highest and best use? The answer is no, we know it's not, right? You guys, I've talked about it all the time. What's the lifetime value of a client? Well, the Home Care Pulse data tells us it's more than 15,000 in revenue, right? And of that, I know you're going to profit more than $500, right, by doing these things. So we need to figure out with your staff and with your team, what is their highest and best use, right? And I have a little tool and stuff that I share with my members. We also want to look at from a place of like operational efficiencies or inefficiencies. Do we have duplication? Do we have things that we're doing like they're doing this and they're doing this, right? So you got overlap in terms of what people are doing. And are there things that essentially we could be automating? So maybe I can invest in a software that's $50, $100 a month, but it saves my scheduler or it saves my recruiter who I need to get me more caregivers. It saves them, let's just say, 3 hours a week. So 12 hours a month. You're saving your recruiter from having to do something manually that could be automated. In that 12 hours a month, could we hypothetically find one more caregiver to add to the team, right? Or can we post better ads, right, and have more time updating ads and doing the things that we need to in order to generate more and better results? right? So I'm encouraging you guys to start thinking big picture and long term, because part of the problem is if we're duplicating, if we don't have people working in their highest and best use, they're not going to be as productive, right? They're not going to be as productive. So some of you guys have used a tool like this before. I don't know if you've ever seen the four quadrants tool, right? What it is essentially, it's like, okay, let's make a list of all the things that we're doing. So if you haven't done this yet, I'd encourage you guys to maybe have your staff document what they're doing in 15-minute increments. It's tedious, it's a lot of work, but it's worth it in the end, because then we can start looking at, okay, what are they doing? How much time are these things taking? How much time should they take? So we actually do an analysis of like, what are they doing and how much time should these things actually take? And then the four quadrants tool is about, all right, this is when I look at the task, this is something that I'm doing that I love. Okay, good. Write that in that box. This is something that, I'm sorry, not that I'm doing that I'm love, something that I'm doing that I love that I'm also good at, right? This is something that I'm good at, but I don't love. So that's this quadrant. This is something that I'm not good at and I don't love it. And then this is something that whichever one I missed, right? The one that's like, I'm good at it, but I don't love it, or something like that. You know what I'm trying to say. There's four quadrants. And essentially, what we're doing is we're having our team, and we should do this ourselves as well, plug in those things into those quadrants. Okay. So once we have that information, okay, Melanie, the chart that I'm talking about, it's called the four quadrants. I don't know the name of it. I've got one created. Let me see if I can think of find the name for it. But it's essentially um, I'll have to look it up because I really don't know the answer. I have one created for my clients, but I don't know the name of it. Like if you were to go search it out there, I don't even remember where I got it from. I honestly don't. But I know it's out there. I've used it before in my business and in other businesses. So, and even if you don't have one, you can create one yourself. It's really not complicated. All you do is you do a big T, right? Uh, or a cross or whatever you want to call it, and good at and like, good at and don't like, not good at, don't like, not good at, but like, or something along those lines. You'll figure it out when you create the chart. And all we're doing is we're plotting where do these activities that my team does, that I do, where do they belong? Why? Why would we do this? You guys already know the answer, right? Intuitively, you know the answer. When you're doing something that you don't like and or that you're not good at, how long does it take you? I'll give you an example. There was a period of time I had to do payroll. I had to let someone go right like quickly for reasons I don't need to discuss on here. I would, not that I'm hiding it. It's just I don't want to waste time doing that. But I had to let someone go quickly. So I ended up being the one that had to do payroll. And we had a new payroll system that I never learned because I already had team members that were doing all these things. I'm like, I don't need to learn this stuff. And out of the blue, I had to pay I had to let go of this person. I didn't have anyone cross trained. And guess who got to do payroll? Me. Well, my personality type and my profile, I'm not super, super duper detail oriented. I have so many gifts, but being detail oriented is not one of them, right? I can be detailed and I can pay attention to details, but it's not a gift. So when I had to pay 150 employees, go through their timesheets and that whole process and make sure it's matching in a system that I did not know how to use well, I almost had a nervous breakdown. And it took me forever. So the prior person that was doing it, they can get it done within a day. For me, at the end of the day, I'm barely halfway done, right? So I bring this up because if we're using our team for highest and best use, what we're doing is we're figuring out, okay, who belongs where, what activities should belong where. Ideally, we want people doing the things that they like doing and that they're good at. Yes, I'm aware there's going to be times where we have to do things that we don't like or that we're not good at. But the more we can structure roles into people's highest use, the things that they're good at, think about the things that you're good at. You generally like doing them, partly because you're good at them, right? So this four quadrants tool will help you get there. All right. Now, there's not just, all right, highest and best use. Sometimes there's also issues in the structure, okay? The structure of the company. Who's doing what? One of my biggest, I don't know if it's a pet peeve, it is just because I see the pain that it creates. I see the challenges it creates within organizations. It's something that I did early on in my business, and I was like, wait a second, this is not actually working as well as I would like. And I know some of you watching this right now, you're doing this. You're like, I'm doing what, Greg? Well, what you're doing is you have some people doing split roles. Okay. They're doing uh, uh, recruiting and scheduling. Okay. Now, sometimes you have to do that depending on the size of the organization. Early on, we kind of had to do that. Right. This person's doing client care coordination and sales and marketing. And I'm telling you, could it work? Yes, I have a past client where it worked for him and he had a multi-million-dollar business. But I will promise you this, 9 times out of 10, I've seen that model and it wasn't working. And the reason why it's not working is because number one, right, you have someone who's sharing or splitting a role, or sometimes you have this person doing recruiting and this person doing recruiting. So problem number one is when someone's splitting a role, right? Then what ends up happening is that they're trying to figure out, okay, I got to do this. When do I shift gears to go do this? And when do I shift gears to go back to this? And it becomes very difficult for them to really truly manage their time in a way that works and is effective. Is it impossible? No. Is it challenging? Yes. And I'm telling you, most times I see where it doesn't work. The second part of this is when you have team members sharing roles. If everyone owns it, no one actually owns it. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that there's not enough true accountability inside of the company, right? So if Mary's doing this and Michelle is doing this, and then we're doing our meetings and we're talking about results that we're trying to get, then ultimately, who do I hold accountable? Like I thought Michelle was doing it. I thought Mary's doing it. Oh, blah, blah, blah. No one can officially ultimately own it because you got too many people doing the same thing. So I'm a huge fan, I'm a huge proponent of specialization over generalization. Oh, everybody knows everything, everybody does everything. Okay. But I can tell you from seeing a lot of companies, I've been under the hood of a lot of companies, that rarely works. And if it's working, you're getting lucky. Awesome. Somehow you've managed to do it. So having the right structure matters, right? Now, there's lots of different ways to structure a company. Some of it is based on the size of the company. Some of it's based on, okay, who are the owners and what are their roles and what are they good at? So really it should filter down, right? Because ultimately, as the owners, you guys should be ultimately deciding, looking at your highest and best use, and then what are the activities that still have to get done? And those are the things that get delegated, right? We want you focusing on your highest and best use. That's it. All right, well, that's not it. You're still going to have other things to do. But my point is, we want you focusing on the things that you're really good at and the things that are going to ultimately drive the company, right? Now, some people are going to be hesitant or resistant when I say this. I learned this from a mentor. Whether you like doing this or not, as the business owner, you ultimately should have your hands in some capacity in the sales and the revenue and the growth of the company. Okay. It's one of the most important functions. And the owners that do really, really well tend to be good at that piece. Why? Because what drives the business in a company? It's I'm getting and converting clients and I'm getting and keeping my caregivers. So as the owner, like the two drivers in our industry are those things. Everything else matters, right? But when you learn how to get really good at these pieces, that's when the company starts to grow. That's when the company starts to scale. And then you have the money and the resources to plug holes in other areas. Now, I'm not sitting here saying, oh, neglect, quality of care or compliance. No, I'm not saying that. But those are things that I hypothetically can hire someone to do because what grows a company, right? The mission of the company only happens when there's revenue and profit. If there's no profit, there's no mission, right? And then what ends up happening inevitably is the owner just ends up in this storm of over responsibility for everything, and they never get stuck out of the cycle. I know people that have been in this business for 15, 20, 30 plus years, and they're still sucked into the day to day. And they may love that. I'm not judging that. Everyone's desires are different, but most owners ultimately want to have some peace and balance and serve their clients. And you can do that better when you have the right systems in place, you have the right management system in place, and you're growing revenue because it gives you the resources to be able to do that. Okay. So, what are some other pieces? You got the right structure, and I use this term. It's like you got to get the right people in the right seats on the right bus. It's like, well, all right, what does that mean, Greg? Well, what it means is the right bus is the right structure. Right. Next, we've got to look at how do we find the right people? Right? How do we find the right people for our company and for our organization? Every one of you have had someone on your team where you're like, all right, I know this is not the right fit, but you waited, you kept them on the team, and it just didn't work. And almost every time I talk to people, it's like, you know who those people are on the team that are just not the right fit, but you hang on because I need the help. It is overwhelming when you have to let someone go and you're a smaller size company. And then eventually you finally get the courage and you do it. And you're like, it's the best decision I ever made. Right. And I know what that feels like. But what if hypothetically we just said, all right, I'm just going to suck it up and I'm actually going to truly find the right people. Now, who are the right people? Right? How do you decide who's the right person for my company? And there's something that often gets missed a lot, right? It often gets missed is you have someone on your team that they're either not passionate about the company, they're not bought into the vision, they're not bought into the mission, and they're doing their quote unquote job, right? But you can feel that it's not right, right? You can feel it. You know that it's not the right thing. And that too is like trying to push a bus or a boat forward, right? Trying to push a boat forward, and then you got anchors dragging, right? You got anchors dragging. So, what are some things we look at? Right. Number one, right? Is this person truly, I'm going to say, a culture fit for the company? Do they align with the mission, the vision, and the values? One of the most important things you should be evaluating with your team and with the people that you hire is this person aligned? Do they really want this job? Right? Some of you have people right now on your team, they don't want this job. They want it, they want the paycheck, they don't actually want it. Right? There's not this driving core, like, okay, this is something that I really want to do. And I can tell you when you have someone who's passionate about where the company's going, they're going to strap on their seatbelt, they're going to drive through the muck, they're going to deal with difficult situations, they're going to problem solve. But someone who's just doing this for a job, it's just a job, it's just a paycheck. Now, in truth, a big part of this is that it's your responsibility as the owner, in part, to create that mission, to create that vision, to create that excitement, to get people on board, to be like, hey, we're going this way, and either you're on the ship or you're not. And if you're not, bye-bye. Not because I'm mean, but we're going this way. And your job in your systems and your structures and how you operate the company and how you hire and how you evaluate your staff, a big part of what you're supposed to be doing. I don't like to use the word supposed to. It'll just help you tremendously to make sure you've got the right people, is you're evaluating people and you're creating the systems for hiring, evaluating the team, getting clear on the values, keeping the mission and the vision front of mind awareness for everyone. Because the truth is that if you can get people rallied and the troops rallied, you're going to go further faster. When you have one or two stragglers that aren't the right fit, they're not aligned with the values, not paying attention to the values, you're not discussing the mission, like there's no systems and processes for this, it's going to be harder, right? So when we talk about the right people, that's a big piece of this, right? That's a big piece of this. So Nancy's saying, I'm just going to take a pause. Nancy's saying something about earlier, like the schedulers can't do it alone. They can, up to a certain amount of volume, certain amount of hours, right? There's data out there. Home Care Pulse has data that's published. I have my own anecdotal data of like just from my own experience, right? I have some surveys that I did inside the Facebook group, but a scheduler essentially, depending on all their other roles and responsibilities, is able to handle, right? And there's variables to this. So this is not a one size fits all, but the average I say should be somewhere between 1,500 and 2,000 hours a week. Now, there are definitely variables to that, including are they big shifts, small shifts? How are you scheduling? Like there's all these other things that go into this, but a good scheduler can handle that and really in truth and then some. I've had in my mastermind group, one of the things I noticed is that everyone that says they love their schedule, they're amazing, they have schedulers that have been able to handle 2,500 hours plus. Like, whoa. Like my scheduler started like making more mistakes when we were above 2,000 hours. So between 2,000 and 2,500 hours, she started making some more mistakes. And then we ended up having to hire a second one. Now, what other roles or responsibilities they have, I don't know. But there's going to be someone that loves this job, that's good at it, and there's some things to look at, which kind of segues into the next piece is that with each role, right? With each role, when I talk about finding the right people and putting them in the right seats, a big part of that is understanding what are the traits, what are the qualities, what's the personality profile of this person, and does it align with the role, right? So it's easy for me to talk about sales and marketing. There's certain personality traits and profile that makes someone generally going to be a better marketer, right? I know this, I've done it enough, and I know what to look for, right? Scheduler, it's a little bit more difficult, but there's certain traits and qualities that we need in a scheduler, right? There's certain traits and qualities that we have to have for our recruiter. There's certain traits and qualities we want for a branch manager or director of operations. So there's all these things that we look for to make sure, hey, do we ultimately have the right person in that role? Right? Do we have the right person in that role? Because if we don't, that's part of the problem. Right? That's part of the problem. Now, once we find the right people, one of the other ways to get productivity from that person is to make sure, and this is our job or our director of operations job, is to get clear on, okay, what are the outputs that I need, right? Hold on, guys. I got to pause for a second. I got people. Right. What are the outputs that I need? What are the things that I can measure? What are the things that are going to tell me, yes, this person is getting the productivity and producing the way that they should be, the way that they need to be, right? So we want to establish and make sure that we have KPIs and things that we're tracking, and we're looking for there's key drivers within each role, and that will help us determine, are they producing, right? Are they producing? Oftentimes as owners, because we don't have these things in place, we tend to micromanage and we're like, oh, are they doing it right? They're not going to do a good enough job. But if you get the right person in the right role and you set clear job descriptions and you got clear on the accountability that you're looking for and the outputs that we need for that role that are the primary drivers for that role, then you let them do their job. You train them properly. You make sure you have standard operating procedures in place. You train them properly. You let them go. And then you have the measurements or the outputs that tell you, okay, are they doing a good job or not? Okay. Those are some of the key pieces for getting productivity and getting the most out of your team. Okay. Because if you don't have those things in place, then you're anxious. You're like, I don't know if they're doing what they're supposed to. Right. So when we have these things in place, it makes it so much easier to manage your team. And then one of the other important pieces is what I talked about way back at the beginning. It's like your management operating system. So we've got the data, we've got the tracking. Now, how is this all getting reported? What does the biweekly meeting structure look like? How are we determining our strategies? Like all of these pieces go into managing your business the right way. And when you have the system and the structure as the owner, it actually brings you peace of mind because you're like, I know what's going on. Okay, okay, I got this. And you've got what I call feedback loops, and you have enough information coming back to you. So this way you're like, okay, I know where we're off. I know where I need to put my attention as the owner. I need to improve this system. I need to give that person better resources. I need to give them better training. All right. Whatever it is, that's your job in managing, not doing, but managing and leading and inspiring. Okay. So we got to give our team the resources, clear direction, and the resources to be successful. Right. We want to make sure that we recognize them, giving them feedback consistently. But the problem is that most owners, they get sucked into the business, they get overwhelmed. There's too much going on, there's too much to do. I don't have time to work on the system because I'm too busy doing. And then it becomes this never-ending spinning in wheels cycle. You got to make the time to do it, right? You got to make the time to create the system or implement a good management system. So this way, everything's flowing, everything becomes easier without losing sight of the two most important things: getting clients, getting caregivers. Okay. And then the last piece I want to talk about today, really, it's communication. And part of the management operating system will help you with that, right? Part of it will help you with that because you've got the feedback and then communication's happening. But then there's other technologies and tools you can use like Slack and some of the other, things and technologies that are out there. So all of these pieces go into helping you maximize productivity with your team, right? Because when we don't have these things in place, business becomes way more difficult, way more challenging. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, this all happens overnight. Everything's fixed. No. It's like you lay this brick, then you lay this brick, then you lay this brick, and then you lay this brick. But it is life changing. It is life changing, right? It's the pieces that will ultimately help you get to a point where you are scaling your business, you've got more work-life balance, you're managing your team, you've got your finger on the pulse, you know what's happening, you know what's going on. Instead of focusing on 30,000 different things, we're clear on these are the core things I'm focusing on this quarter, or these are the core things we're focusing on this week based on the feedback loops, based on the data. But it really all starts with getting the right people in the right seats on the right bus. All of those things matter, okay? And your life will be easier, I promise. It's going to take a little bit of time to get those things in place, but it will be easier, okay? So I hope you guys found this helpful. I promise you this is like a game changer, right? Now, you got to get the business first. So if you're a place in business where you're like, I don't have enough referrals coming in, well, my book will help you with that. I got a book coming out. It's at the printer. It should be ready to go this week. Make sure you guys get a free copy of it. You just pay shipping and handling. But I also, for those of you who are like, I really want to learn more about a management operating system, this is a piece that's missing from my business. Call me or message me. I have a specific training I did. I literally just finished it with some of my coaching clients and group members, and it is something that will change the game from the perspective of giving you more freedom and giving you more time and helping you in terms of managing your business. It will help you like really set the stage, right the ship, get everyone rowing in the right direction. All right, because that's an important piece to the puzzle in creating a little bit more work-life balance. For those of you who are like, this is too much chaos, it's too crazy, right? So I'll hang tight. I know the chat thing's disabled. I apologize, but you can use the Q&A if you've got any questions, or if you're here on the Facebook group. I see a bunch of you are on there. Say hello, hello. Comment. I know Tina commented, but those of you guys can stay on there, say hello. Let me know if there's any questions about this stuff. But hope it helped you. Hope you got value from this. Feel free to share this with some of your peers. But these pieces are so important. I can't stress it enough because I know what it's like to be in that spot where you're just trying to make all the pieces work. Now, I know there's some of you that are managing remote teams. I'm decent at doing some of that because I have a remote team now. Was more used to having people in my office, but I have, I know how to manage teams remotely. I know Natalie from the group had messaged me about this, and it's like, I'm decent at it, but I have some work to do with the remote team. But really, in truth, when you look at it, it's still very similar systems and processes. It really is. And then we don't need to micromanage. We ultimately let people do their job, but we've got the feedback loops so we know how to hold them accountable for getting the results. And then our part is making sure that they feel like they're part of a team and they know the mission, and they know where we're going, they're aligned, and that will have such a profound impact on your business. So have an amazing rest of your day, everybody. I gotta go deal with these people that are doing the repairs, and we'll talk soon. Bye bye.